Thank you, John.
Yeah. Eric will be here in a minute. And that could be, Lindsay. Sounds like Lindsay.
Let's get his heels on site.
Yeah.
Deals with Eric.
On the sleeve that.
Just a deposit, they haven't started. Yes.
You guys good? Good evening and welcome to the Utica Town Council meeting for October 15th, 2024. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, adoption of the minutes. I look for a motion from the council for adopting the meeting minutes of October 1st, 2024.
Motion that we adopt the minutes, the regular meeting, council meeting, October 1st, 2024.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any comments from the audience on the meeting minutes? There are none. Any comments from the council? All set. Okay, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of adoption of the minutes of October 1st, 2024, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting minutes are adopted. Going on to item number 5, presentations, there are none. Moving on to item number 6, the public hearings. We do have one tonight. Nicole, can you please read ordinance 2408?
Ordinance repealing and replacing dependencies A through H of the general assistance ordinance.
Look for a motion from the council.
I make a motion that we open ordinance 2408 for public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any comments from the public on ordinance 2408? There are none. Council, are there any comments for ordinance 2408? And we are all set. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of ordinance 2408, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 2408 passes. Moving on to item number 7, reports and correspondence. Jacob, town manager's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. I want to say job well done to our town crew who spent half a day last week and most of today cleaning up the property located at 227 Webb Road. If you haven't taken a drive by, you should, because I think you'll be surprised at how different it looks. MCI will once again be opening its doors for a free meal on Thanksgiving Day. The town will be assisting in the planning and coordinating of this community event, which aims to bring residents together during the holiday season. We have successfully launched the online payment system for property taxes and utility payments. We did that 1 week ago. So far, and there's been 2 more since I wrote this, 17 transactions have been processed totaling over $17,000 in revenue. This new system enhances convenience for our residents and also greatly improves efficiency for staff. I attended a field meeting with the Water and Sewer Department and Maine DOT last Thursday to review the Grove Hill project and discuss potential impacts on the existing water and sewer facilities. Their plan is to bid out the project by next September, with construction expected to start in the spring of 2026. Angel has been collaborating with Caleb Curtis of Curtis Air to schedule the ribbon cutting ceremony for the new municipal hangar. That will take place on Thursday, October 24th at 5 p.m. and we hope that councilors can attend. Reminder to residents that absentee ballots are now available for the upcoming general referendum and municipal election. All ballots must be received back to the town clerk by 8 p.m. on election night. Dog licenses are available. Cost is $6 for altered dogs, $11 for unaltered. All dogs must be licensed by January 31st to avoid the $25 late fee. Public Works Department will begin the process of closing the town pool on Friday. And finally, property taxes are due, as a reminder, this Thursday. I've also included in your packets a letter from Maine Central Institute, basically thanking us for collaborating with them for the VPI project and also encouraging the town or mostly DOT to select Goral Palmer as the firm to do the preliminary engineering. And also, finally, and then I'll stop talking, September department head reports are included in your packets.
Excellent. Thank you, Jacob. Are there any comments on the town manager's report?
I'll just say that I've received a lot of feedback and about the online payment and folks are thrilled. It's been a long time coming, so thank you.
I finally paid my water bill, so that was good.
People were excited. People are happy.
Yeah, it worked. It was pretty smooth.
So Jacob, that's direct payment, it's not through a credit card or anything like that? Or,
It's through a credit card processing company.
okay, so do they
charged
get
with
3%?
They do.
Okay,
3% for credit card, it's $1.50 if you use your routing numbers. Just a
For
flat
your
fee.
debit card?
Debit
Yeah.
card would be the 3%. Credit or debit is 3%.
Okay.
So ACH.
ACH is $1.50 flat fee.
So that's good to know.
Pretty standard.
I guess I did have one question on the cleanup on the web road. Are we charging a fee above and beyond their hourly rate?
We're
How
charging,
did we?
it's gonna be any costs that we have assumed, it's gonna be manpower, hours. So any supplies that we've used, any things that we've had to rent, use of the equipment.
Yeah.
Anything will be added onto it. Donnie hasn't, they just finished up today, so Donnie hasn't come up with a bill.
Right, I was
Yeah.
just thinking, their hourly rate
That's
is,
good.
their hourly rate is one thing, but a billable rate is a different thing,
We'll likely bill what it costs us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, thanks, Jacob. Moving on to item number 8, old business, there is none. Item number 9, new business. Nicole, can you please read resolution 2497?
Resolution accepting the proposal from RJD Appraisal for assessing services from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2497.
second,
Moved and seconded. Is there any, well, Jacob, do you wanna speak to this or?
Yeah,
we all set?
our contract with RJD was coming due at the end of this year, so this is an extension of that contract. RJD, the town contracts with for assessing services, they provide a staff member typically 1 day a week to handle that, so that's what this is.
Are there any comments from the audience on resolution 2497? There are none. Any questions from the council?
Day, are they here?
It is supposed to be, it's typically Mondays.
And what happens when Monday's a holiday, what day are they in here?
Oftentimes, it tends to differ, but usually it's Tuesdays. Not always. But it works out.
Any other?
How does that work?
I did not, put it out to bid mainly because assessors are pretty hard to come by nowadays and there's value in having a firm that has local knowledge, which RJD certainly does for the number of years that they've been doing it. So no, I don't.
We're also still in the middle of our reval, which would make no sense to kind of
Yeah.
change it.
That would be challenging.
Just flip that right on the table.
Yeah.
They're pretty new. We put it out to, we had somebody else, you put it out to bid. 2 cycles ago, I believe.
Yeah,
So it's a recent contract.
any other comments from the council? Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2497, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2497 passes. Nicole, can you please read resolution 2498?
Resolution approving the parade application for the second annual Parade of Lights and Tree Lighting Ceremony on November 30th, 2024.
For a motion from the council.
I make the motion, we adopt resolution 2498.
Moved and seconded. Are there any comments from the audience on resolution 2498? There are none. Are there any comments from the council? Resolution 2498. There are none. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2498, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2498 passes. Nicole, can you please read resolution 2499?
Resolution appointing Nicole Nicolon, Andy Morgan, and Tina Farias, Hillary Rebar, Brittany Matavier, and Angel Aguera as, deputy wardens for the November 5th, 2024 general referendum and municipal election.
We'll look for a motion from the council.
Yep, make a motion, we adopt resolution 2499.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any comments from the audience? Resolution 2499. There are not. Council, any comments on resolution 2499? There are none. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 2499, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 2499 passes. Nicole, can you please read resolution 24100?
Resolution appointing 2 members to the library trustees board to fill the current vacancy.
For a motion from the council.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 24100.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any comments from the audience on resolution 24100? Or I guess, Jacob, did you want to say anything about this, or are you good?
Well, I would just say that there are currently 2 vacancies that are there, but there is 1 more vacancy that's coming due at the end of January. So whoever you don't appoint tonight could certainly be appointed to that term that is open in January.
Ready? Are there any comments from the audience? There are none. Comments from the council? Yes.
I have to abstain.
Yes, to abstain. I guess I would say, I don't really have a preference on this any which way, but, I guess maybe for ease of appointing these folks, I guess I would suggest maybe we just go by the date they were submitted.
I guess, could we appoint 3? No.
I did ask that.
I believe their bylaws limit them to 7 members. There's a set amount of members. Or no more than that. Than
I just said another members.
And 2 would reach the max.
There are 2 openings right now, and then one of the seats expires on December 31st, so for next year, then that person can renew because they've already done 2 terms.
Okay. So going by those rules, then I think I
I don't
agree
know,
with you.
yeah, I don't know, but that,
Can we have Don's input?
Again, she's not here.
Do we have- Yeah, she's not here.
I thought I saw her come.
I said, let's do the same thing, let's just.
I mean, we did get her input and she doesn't have a preference.
Okay.
Other than that, I'd say first come, first serve.
Do we have the option of practically appointing the January term now, or do we need to wait until it expires?
It has to expire.
It has to expire, so would we deal with that at the last December meeting or the first January meeting?
It depends where we're at with closing of the year. Usually it's the last meeting of the year, but it can be into January because it doesn't physically expire until the 31st.
So anybody is, if everybody's good with, just going by the date that they were submitted.
Yeah.
We would be approving Diane, DeMay. And Anna. Does it say Bacchus? Yeah, Anna Bacchus. So all those in favor of those two appointments? Please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Those two folks are appointed to the library trustee board. Moving on to resolution 24-101. Nicole, please.
Resolution excusing the absences of Deputy Mayor Justin.
Look for a motion from the council.
Move the adopt resolution 24-101.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any comments from the audience on resolution 24-101? There are not. Any comments from the council on resolution 24-101?
Can you give us a second?
Yeah.
Got by all dinner?
Yeah.
Executive session.
Yeah, you can try for a fourth and we may not.
Don't do it.
Oh, goodness.
Since we are ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 24-101, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 24-101 passes.
I was all for.
You're on board.
Get me out of here.
You know?
We had to give you a little crap.
Yeah,
Make you sweat it out.
That's right.
Moving on to item number 10, discussion items. Public comment. Are there any?
I'm trying to think, it's been a very long day, so I'm trying to, I wasn't prepared. Do you want to say something?
You can say something.
Okay.
You don't have to say anything. It is an option.
We were considering a real quick committee heart and full update. We have added four more members to our team, so we're now a group of 11, including our leader champ. We are scheduled for our next training session with our coach, this month. And we are, we've already prepared what our Halloween, socialization events will be. Really working on getting the new folks up to speed. And I would say more to come. Anything you want to throw in there?
No, I think we have a really, I'll use the word interesting in not a negative way. Group of 10 people on that committee right now that represent a lot of different segments of our community. So I think once we get out there and start meeting with the public, the first training session, I think I've said this before maybe, but if I had had this material 25 years ago, I'd be rich today. Because they have some really, they put in a lot of work and effort in this. So basically, the next training session, which is gonna be on the 30th, is going to be how you go out and you approach people about what they see as the strengths and the weaknesses and the future of the community looks like. So that's where we're gonna be spending the next couple of months working on. So I think the results of that, and obviously that material will come back to you for as we plan for the next 5 and 15 years. Or maybe not 25, but the next 5 and 10 years.
Excellent. All set?
Yep.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments from the audience above and beyond that? No, sir. closing comments from the council? Start with Natalia.
Just again, thank you, congratulations for the online payments, I think that's fantastic. And I appreciate the report, that's all I have.
Thank you. Eric?
I just wanted to thank Jacob for the quick turnaround on the snowmobile grant. Step that, I was very impressed how quickly that got turned around. And homecoming this weekend, I thought was awesome. This past weekend was great. It was a good fun around town. A lot of good wins, a lot of good school spirit and town involvement, and it felt good. So that's all I got.
Great, thank you. Lindsay?
No major comments, thanks to Jacob and the team for getting everything ready, I know it's a lot of effort goes into it, so appreciate that, and looking forward to seeing the good things and the positive momentum that's starting to pick up all of the time with all the projects and. Great. But
Thank you. Greg?
I guess I'll start out by saying thank you for not. So I appreciate, yeah, not really, this is the politician side right now, I'm just kidding. No, very much so, and then, you know, that web road cleanup is phenomenal to see. Like I said, I drove by there today, kind of not even realizing where we were on that, and caught my eye and was just wow, so awesome. Great job to the team. That's it.
Great. Heather?
I would echo Craig's comments about the red road. I went on vacation, there was a bunch of crap there. Came back from vacation, it was all nearly gone. I left this morning and did the delivery, I came home and it was gone. So it's nice to see it all cleaned up and, so hopefully, it does not repeat. And we are able to, recoup all of the funding that went into that and the time for the staff to do that. I know it's not the first property that, that we've had to do that with. It won't probably be the last, but I think having a full-time code officer that can dedicate time to the enforcement part of things rather than just issuing permits is making a huge difference. Yeah, and then the online payment thing, I think that's huge. I think in this day and age, it's just a really big thing. I think it's something Howie and I talked about back in 2014. When we did a website analysis and we were talking about like things to improve that. So it only took 10 years, but here we are, and now it's working. So I hope that's helpful to people that need to use that regularly. Are dog licenses on there? Or no?
We're working on it.
Oh, no, I read it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We're working.
I do my dog life. I don't think I would do the taxes on there, but yeah, but yeah, I think it's great for the people that need to be able to use that and provide extra options, and hopefully it will help prevent having so many tax notices that have to go out and those types of things. Can you give us an update, maybe at the next meeting, on where we stand with all of the tax notices and those types of things?
Yep.
That are coming around? And yeah.
Thank you. Howard?
Just kind of echoing the kudos on the web road. Next step is recouping the effort, monetarily that our team put into it. And online payment has, been a great thing, and like Heather said, it's gone about time. Hopefully not everything is gonna be on the 10-year plan from now on.
It was well discussed.
That's it.
Excellent. Thank you, Howard. And I'll just wrap up by reiterating some of the stuff that people said. Obviously, great job on the online payments. I paid my water bill using that. It was pretty smooth. I guess, is there gonna be and maybe there already is the option, to go paperless and automatic bill pay, and so I get nothing in the mail and
You can set it up so that it takes out a specific amount every week or every 2 weeks, or whatever you set it up.
okay.
it's two separate programs as far as billing is concerned, so you'll still get a paper bill.
Alright, well. We got half the battle, that's good, no, you're good.
We'll take the time.
No, that's great, and obviously the web road
Right.
cleanup, that's fantastic. I'll do a drone photo update sometime soon. So take a look at the full property, but, no, that's fantastic. It just kind of shows, you know, the effort that we're putting in is paying off on some of these things, and, hopefully we can do more of that, in the years to come. So, it'll be good, and hopefully, it deters people from even getting to that point, so. I guess that's all I have for comments, and, we will move on to item number 11, which is budget review. Yes, I do, because he's the only one right here representing, somebody, so. Yeah, we're gonna go out of order since, the rec director is here. We're gonna jump to recreation right off the bat, which is on page 36. Jacob, are you gonna go down through and then he jump in when he needs to, or either one of you, doesn't matter? 36, yep.
I would just add that Donnie went over to Detroit, left his lights on and has a dead battery, so
Oh.
he will be here, he's just waiting for somebody to come with jumper cables.
Alrighty.
So recreation, I will kind of give a brief overview and Jake can certainly speak to specifics. Starting right off with your part-time wages line, that covers your rec director, your assistant director. Both of those receive the 3% cost of living adjustments. We would consider them regular part-time staff. Then there's money in there for pool support, the pool director, and also lifeguards. Now granted, there's not going to be a very big season for that type of thing, just because this is just going to get us through June. So that's why you're going to see a little bit of reduction there. Jumping down to supplies, that supplies line covers pool chemicals, arts and crafts items, brochures, and also the skating rink liner has been built into this budget, and just a small amount for new programs. Under maintenance, that covers pool house maintenance and also the concession stand at Hathorne Park. For contractuals, we've got field maintenance, the recreation department's website comes out of this line, and also pool maintenance, which covers regular maintenance as well as opening and closing. There's a line there for electricity, all your utilities, and that's really it, just then a miscellaneous budget expense account as well. And I'll let
Yes,
Jake answer the hard question.
I have one question, or I have a few questions, I guess. One being, the contracts and rentals, the closing of the pool would happen after this budget period. So I don't know what kind of dollar amount is associated with specifically closing it. But,
Yeah, so the contractual was more of a question mark for me, actually.
okay,
So opening and closing the pool, we've kind of talked to Public Works about, are we gonna contract it out, or are we gonna do it ourselves? So I put the budget together, I put opening in there as, just the opening, right, would be part of that, but that would be paying somebody to come in and open the pool for us, getting it all cleaned up and getting it ready to go.
Okay.
Now, if Public Works continues and wants to keep that piece, we don't need that. But that was, it's kind of a conversation point, and I wanted to put it in there as a just in case.
alrighty, and that's why we're seeing the increase in that,
So that's the reason of the increase.
even though it's a half-year budget.
Right, so it'd be pool opening, which would be in May. Yeah,
Right. Okay. Then I guess that goes. Oh, yeah, that would be front loaded anyway. Okay, yep, I'm good. Anybody else have questions on?
I have a
The rec
question
board,
about
Jacob.
the MyRec website. It's
Yeah.
a relatively new thing that started, what, 2 years ago?
2 years.
How is that working? Is,
Wonderful.
okay,
It's wonderful. I don't know how I would do my job without it at this point. Cause it's sort of, I can send text blasts, email blasts. I've got I've got contact info for all the kids that play. Everything is housed right in there. So when I get the paper forms, it goes right into, it's like a database now. Where I get all my contact info and then it takes the money as well.
And that as a parent,
Yeah.
saves so much time. It is so easy to use. We get alerts reminding us about things we need to do. You can pay online. It's smooth.
okay, that was one of the questions I had, whether like how robust it was, because I think when we first had it presented to the council, it was for just getting people signed up and doing the sign up part of things so that people didn't have to come into the office to do it. So
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that it has those other features to it.
And I think there's still things to the website we haven't sort of tapped into that it can.
That was my next question. It's
so it
not
is-
very robust as far as like what it looks like and the information that's on there,
So what's,
like
yeah,
for the general public.
it's what's the most valuable part is what's in the background.
Yeah.
Right, so the kids can they go in and sign up, but then they've got an account that's housed. And we have contact info for everything, so if we're doing a movie in the park, right, I can send an email blast out to anybody who's ever signed up for a rec anything and say, hey, we're doing this on such and such a date, you should come.
And everything is saved. So when I log in every single season to register my children for all the things,
You don't have
I don't have to
enter
start from scratch. It knows who I am. And it like automatically chooses the child as the right gender and age for the event that I'm talking about. It's intuitive and it saves a ton of time for busy parents.
And you'll never be out of it, because I still get the blue in my rec ones, and I haven't been there for 6 years.
You can unsubscribe.
That's awesome. I'm figuring out how to do that, so I'm in for life. I have a question about, but it's not per se the expenses, but sorry, are you all done?
Yep,
here?
no, I just wanted some feedback on how it was working and stuff.
So just curious, and it may not be factoring in here, maybe something totally somewhere else, but with all the money that we raised a few years ago with the rec, where does that live? In terms of budgeting and expense planning and
So what's the name of the account? The best in.
Those are in special revenue.
special revenue accounts? So are we gonna, because historically we saw that in the council, but I just don't know if that's a different night.
space.
Okay.
It's under revenues, so it's.
Yeah, it's under revenue at the back end of our budget.
It'd be under account at the back.
Okay, so, never mind, I'll just deal with it there. So as it pertains to a special revenue account per department, we're not necessarily gonna talk about it here. We talk about some other time.
Yeah, during the revenue discussion,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, just wanted to check.
that's at the end of.
It's not in your budget book.
Yeah, I was like, I haven't.
Oh,
seen it.
yeah, it is, revenues, October 22nd.
But the actual account.
Oh, but you don't have it.
Well, we can certainly get that to you.
Okay, I was just curious, because I know we've raised a lot of money, and I was curious about the planning for those funds over time and where that's gonna be allocated and.
I thought
Let's not lose track of it.
Projects that.
I'm sure there are. I just was curious about a status
Yeah.
update. Yeah, I know they've done lots of good stuff with the money. I just was curious as to how much of it was left and what the plan was for the rest of it.
We don't want to, I think the question, you don't want to use it frivolously, right? But
Right.
it's,
Yeah,
like, what are we gonna use it for?
yeah, I was just curious. So if we'll talk about it another time, that's fine.
Maybe you can answer this, or maybe Donnie is a little bit more geared, on the contract and rentals line, for the opening of the pool. How many man hours does that take? Public Works. To get that done historically. And to do it right.
This year they crushed it.
Yep.
Like it was awesome. Yeah.
You're talking, if I had to figure out man hours, equipment use, time, it's probably costing us $1,500 to do that.
And that's,
And again, that's manpower. Because this time it wasn't just Public Works, you have transfer station guys and help right out. And it's all manpower constraint with us, so if we have a full crew, it's not so bad if we do it, but if we're in the middle of digging on the road and having to jump on it, it's one of those things that. It always seems, no matter what we do, we want it open yesterday. But I think if we stick with my plan, which I've said for
Yeah.
years, we go down there, we own the water district, we go down there every spring, we drain the pool. We spend a half day cleaning it, we fill it up in clean treated water, it costs us $6,000 for chemicals, it only just costs us about $1,000, we do that every year. We can do it. All we need is a little consultation from Philbrook, the pool spa place, and it's the same way with closing it. It's just making sure that we stick to that plan in the spring for the opening, and in the fall, it's not that bad. We've already actually got the pool done, and Friday, the cover's going on, it's been repaired and it's going on Friday. It'll take us 4 guys to half a day.
So we've got, just trying to run through that, so you've got $2,000 in labor.
Yeah.
$1,000 in
Fuel.
fuel and water and stuff like that. So you're $3,000 in, what projects aren't being done? What's the impact to the, like, what's the impact to your projects?
I've always done everything on the run, so the impact is that something doesn't get done and we put it off. It's no different than us going down and doing the bathrooms down or fixing something down at the hut versus going over to Stein Park and doing projects and fences. It's just something that we have to schedule in, so. We got the manpower, we get the projects done. This year, I think we've completed more projects than they have since the early 90s, so. Manpower constraint, we've got tentatively, we've got 5 people that are working, so, and we've got one at Hyatt Recycling Center, so we've got some spares that float around. It shouldn't make that big of an impact. That's on the project.
So with that information, your recommendation would be that we handle this in-house, potentially and follow.
So I think the plan to drain the pool, right, they get in there, clean it out, refill it, we can do that every season, right, in the end of May. I think we're crushing it, but if that's not what's most feasible for him and those guys, then let's figure out something else.
So would we at least budget some portion of that, $1,000 or something that we would, instead of the 5,000, we would drop that down if the recommendation is to stay in-house? Would we still want to put something in there, 1,500, $2,000?
For closing would be nice.
Yeah, and opening chemicals, the water, all that fun stuff.
Not closing it on this budget.
Consultation from Philbrook's, like you said, right?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a little cost. So we could potentially amend that line item to say 2,000 or drop 3,000 off of that. Would that be comfortable?
So we're moving that to
So go to 6,000.
instead of 9. Which gives you $2,000 to open the pool. 60. All right, any other comments from the council on the rec budget? Set. All right, everybody's good with the rec budget, moving on, approved,
I was just thinking one question, sorry.
all right, go ahead, no? you're good.
For the last few years, we've been asking, or at least I have been asking about new program, you have new programs, 526 in here. Does that include like senior citizen, like broadening the offerings for senior citizens and what that might look like?
So what I guess my caveat is that all of our programs are volunteer run, right? So if there are volunteers to run, yeah, we'll start one, right? But currently, is there the bandwidth to go and start up new programs? No. Not that we don't want them, right? But there needs to be volunteers with the desire to do it, stepping up in order to make those things actually go well. If it's a matter of me creating and running, you need somebody else, right?
Could I add something? So for senior citizens at the last budget meeting, I don't think you were here, Heather. There's actually a line item called out. You were here?
Yeah, no, I watched it.
Okay, so there's
It was-
there's a senior citizen group in
It
town
was a
that I'd never heard of, and I got the contact information for the leader of that group. So when people inquire about senior activities in town, because this comes up from time to time, we can direct them to this person. Because there is someone that is putting a group together that is focused on activities for seniors, and it's not the rec group. But there is a group for that.
And the town is funding.
That's right. They have a budget.
So, like,
They have a budget. They have
Well-
standing meetings at the Elks, and they're working on some things together, so.
So our committee has talked about it a lot, right? And there's always ideas that kind of come up. With my students last year, we ran a dance, right? For senior citizens in the community. But as far as creating this, I think, because the question is, it needs to be sustainable, right? We're already kind of running on a like the model's already a burnout model, right? Like you just eat people up, chew them out, spit them out, right, and get somebody new in there. To add more programming to that, this isn't gonna work, you know? So either the infrastructure of it would have to change in order for that type of programming to happen.
I guess I was thinking like, after the last discussion and that group, and then the rec department, if there's a way that the two could work together. If the rec department could kind of harness the power of that group it's has like, seems like it has, there's always like a core group of people in every organization, whether it's the library or, you know, whatever it is. You know, to people, to harness that, to kind of like expand that, to help them with recruitment as well as maybe some, like you talked about, the young and the old working together and the rec part of, you know, for elder adults to keep them active and those types of things.
Right, and so
The
like that's.
opportunities that could be there.
So I think as a rec department, I'd be super down if they were volunteers that were like, here, we wanna try this thing, we need a little money or a little help to do it, can you help? Yeah, let's go. Just need to hear from those people, you
So
know?
you guys ran a dance, how was the turnout?
We had like 6 or 7 people, but the kids had a blast.
So, all run, I mean, as far as advertising, is that something we put on the Pittsfield website? Like,
It wasn't put on the Pittsfield website. I didn't run it through the rec department. I ran it as a teacher, right? And I had the kids create the flyers and the advertisements and those sorts of pieces.
Nice.
How I came in and talked to my kids, actually, right? So it wasn't run through the rec department in that way. We put flyers up around town. There was an article in the Rolling Thunder. We put a blast out on Facebook. They were supposed to invite their grandparents. Only a few of them did. And the timing was rough, getting the gym space. I think our timing was a little funky, but we had a good time. It was fun.
I appreciate the effort, right? I mean,
Yeah.
trying to include that other, I
Yeah.
mean, that's all you can do, right? Is keep trying to get that traction and.
The school does some of that stuff too, right?
Such as.
Some of the rec, some of the elderly
And they have the adult.
programming.
the adult-
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
They have adult
Yeah.
sporting events, yeah.
Yep,
That volleyball every Wednesday night, so.
they
Basketball.
do, and pickleball and basketball,
Basketball.
which is another point of contention, because I can't get in the gym ever, but. Yeah.
Good, I think we're good.
All set, everybody all set? All right, we're good, I guess, rec is
Thank you.
done.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jake.
Jacob. We will go back to the beginning, town council, page 5. So this was a budget item that we brought up last week. Greg had mentioned getting a stipend for town council. Obviously, we've been really fortunate the last, I don't know, say 5 years of being able to fill these positions, although I think there was a few times that there were seats that were vacant. And kind of like Jacob alluded to in the last budget item, people get burnt out, and are people gonna keep signing up and doing this for nothing, because it does take a lot of time and effort, and I think some of it, you get what you pay for, and I did ask Jacob to send me some information on what other towns do. Most other towns do a little bit of something. A lot of the towns are much bigger than we are, so it's not apples to apples, but I would say Bucksport is a similar town to us, and Bucksport does a stipend of $50 per meeting. I don't know, there's other towns that do that. Hamden, they're bigger, obviously. Winthrop is roughly our size, they do a stipend. And then most other towns just do an annual stipend type thing. So I guess I'll open that up to the council, if anybody's super passionate about that.
In the old days, we were getting $300 a year. That was the stipend. In quarterly meetings, in quarterly checks.
Per quarter.
$75 a quarter.
Okay.
And, you know, the discussion that I recall at that time was that, I'm not sure that that would buy anybody to come on the council. You know, you know, it's a nice thought, but you know, I can't say that, you know, any of us are doing it as a second job or a first job or whatever, you know, we do it because we want the best for Pittsfield, you know, I don't know if it makes a difference, you know, would it make a difference if I got $50? Yeah, might buy me, you know, a meal out with the wife, you know,
Goodwill, right?
Huh?
Goodwill with the wife, they go for supper, she doesn't mind so bad, you come to the council meetings.
Absolutely, yeah, you know, I mean, you know, I would rather take $200 off my taxes.
There you go. Taxes.
Well, you can set that aside for your
Yeah,
tax budget.
You know, I mean.
Untaxable income, I'm into that, that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm certainly not advocating for it or saying that we shouldn't do it, but your $300 is, well, it's. That,
I mean, even.
well, that's it's a dated number, there's,
Yeah, $50.
Most of them are- I would say around $1,000 maybe. And well, I would say the meeting thing is to entice people to, you know, the more you show up,
Show up to the meeting.
it's helpful, like.
Well, if we do that, we're not gonna have one meeting a month during the summer, I'll tell you.
You have 4. Howard would like to meet
Like, I
Dave.
need to bring home the bacon.
Weekly meetings.
Well, if Jacob runs me in only 15 minutes, that's a pretty good hourly wage.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
And I mean, I threw out $50, it could be 20, it could be
No, don't get
whatever.
too hungry, okay?
Well, there are some other, you know, Winthrop is 20, Kittery's 20, Camden's 60, Bucksport's 50. Lisbon is, you should go be a politician there, it's $77 a meeting, that's pretty good. So anyway, I don't know, I don't have a strong opinion either way.
I don't think it makes a difference one way or the other.
I would say no, it's not worth the trouble to take the money from other programming down and, I don't know. The goodwill you get from doing it as a, in kind, like volunteering your effort, it's never gonna come close to the money you probably make in your actual day-to-day or whatever, so I would say I don't think it's worth putting it on the budget personally, but I won't be your mention for a moment.
It's really, I would rather have someone compete for my position, if that $50 makes a difference to them. And they wanna try to win this position from me, I think it's how you're gonna get the best qualified people. And I don't think offering them anything is probably, or nothing, I should say, is the best way to do it. I mean, I understand why it started, and I can go along with it either way, honestly, but I do think that I spent some time here, and with my compensation, besides getting bitched at, I mean, getting talked to by other citizens.
Right,
Besides, it makes me feel so good, because honestly, it would make me feel better to be home with my kids, to be honest with you, so.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be here, should be something, I think, but
I feel like a little something goes a long way.
it's a token.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
small, it's insignificant, really, in the grand scheme, but it's not nothing. And we are here giving our time, and time is valuable, and we're not home with our families. And we scramble to get here a lot of the time, and I think even if it is the smallest, it's meaningful.
do we? We could. I'm in favor of the meeting, per meeting thing,
Me
Just
too.
because
Yeah, me too.
if you're gonna do it, that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
Because, it just entices people to show up and
Absolutely, you get paid.
And
for
you
what
don't get, somebody that showed up for half the meetings in a year gets the same stipend as somebody that showed up to every one of them and put a lot of effort into it.
Don't,
So it just kind of.
don't talk about Craig that way.
I didn't say
If
names.
someone said show up, we split their $50.
I know this is gonna sound funny coming from me, but I think it's like a I think it would be a yearly and annual. With a certain percentage of the meetings required to attend. So instead of if you have to miss one, you have to hit 90% or 85% of your meetings.
It's like a stretch goal.
But the
Yeah,
talking about, but
and
the.
I know that.
Making it too complicated.
Possibility of giving us the entire.
That's
thing.
way too
So
complicated.
small, the amount of work it would take to calculate that,
It's like-
no,
Just,
okay,
just do
Make
the
it simple, I think.
per meeting and.
Administrative, want to be easy.
Yeah.
Want to be easy.
you don't want someone to have
Well,
to
none of us can
calculate.
vote, right? Isn't it a conflict of interest to vote for money in your own pocket? No, just kidding, I'm teasing.
No, it's not, I mean, that's-
So you're being paid for your time, whether you're online or in person.
Is this retro back?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would be,
I'd say for budgeting purposes, you just need to throw out a number as far as specifics and implementation is concerned.
right,
You'd have to amend council rules, so that would be an ordinance for us to go over
okay,
before the budget starts, but I think for tonight's purpose, we just need to find out whether or not we're going to include a budget, a number in this budget.
So it'd be $8,400 at $50 a meeting. Seven counselors, 2 meetings a month,
Are you
that's
gonna include
$1,200 per.
budget meetings outside of that? Are you gonna include
No, I think
executive
it's-
sessions outside of that?
No, I think I think it's just regular council meetings, right? General,
I'm not in favor of it at all. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it makes somebody want to be on the council because they're gonna get $50 a year for a couple hours. I don't think it makes an
someone want to either.
unnecessary addition to the budget when there's other things you could spend money on.
I just don't think this is a volunteer position.
You're here and you weren't getting paid to do it.
True, but now we're talking about it
Why did you do it though?
because I care,
There you go.
and I can care both, I can care in both scenarios.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought it up because I've heard that from multiple people, I would do this, but. I'm not gonna give my time for free for a 3-year commitment. 24 meetings a year for 3 years, that's 72 meetings for nothing. Right, I mean, that's kind of the math, and it's, again. Look. I don't. It's gonna sound arrogant, I don't mean for it to, it's not gonna make or break my day, right? At the end of the day, if I miss 3 meetings in a row, it's not gonna kill me, right? It's not gonna make a difference on whether or not I feed my family. It does make a difference on how I feel appreciated or the job is worth something. It's putting your money where your mouth is, right? So I think retention, yes. Attracting new, yes, for sure. That is, because, I mean, other than that, it's not the glamour. It's not the glamour.
Kind of connects some value with the time for me. Even if we decide, no, we're not doing it, I'm gonna stay. It's okay, I'm gonna stay. But I think for me, in my mind, it's connecting some value to the time. And I appreciate that. Because I don't have a lot of time.
yeah,
Have you ever seen like councils do like a board development, like a council development, almost like a, strategic planning or a retreat or something where those funds could be used to develop the individuals versus paying them out individually? Do you know what I'm saying? Like a budget that goes toward the overall
Training.
training, but also just like, like almost like a board retreat kind of budget versus paying them each meeting, like.
I've only ever,
Usually do that.
well, it would be a meeting, you would
Be a
have to
meeting.
advertise it, you would have to
Right.
allow the public there.
Yeah.
The only time I've seen that done is in larger cities.
Okay.
that's more
They
complicated
do
than
that.
it's for.
But,
Yeah, I was just thinking like maybe there's a middle, no,
Commit you to.
I'm voting no.
Yeah.
Let's put it to vote, people.
Yeah.
We do. Move
I mean,
on.
I'm in favor of like. I don't know, $40 a meeting. 30 bucks, a
Great
meeting,
number.
A
whatever.
person, each.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not coming here for $7. Well, I mean, at that rate, I just, at that rate, I just stay home.
We should support that.
If your children go to McDonald's, bus ride, that's what I'm thinking about. What do we do, vote?
It's less than $1,000.
Someone put a number out there and make a motion. Somebody,
I'm in favor of $50 per council per meeting. For regular meetings.
That's $8,400 for the year.
For regularly scheduled meetings. only.
Regular scheduled meetings only.
That put your business on regularly scheduled meeting nights.
$50 a meeting.
Yeah, per person.
Some of these meetings are going pretty quick now, and they're not marathons like they used to
So,
And if we only do one meeting a
I
month
like
in the
this
summer,
budget.
then it.
be. Oh, yeah, this might be.
Automatically save $150 per counselor, right?
It ebbs and flows. We have short meetings and we have long meetings, you know. inconsistent.
Sure.
I think it should be something.
Put a number in there. and-
I second whoever's made the $50 recommendation.
So I'd be on board with that.
Howard? Lindsay, Heather? We know Heather's.
No,
No, what? Don't know.
I mean,
Now on the side.
Yeah. Do we have to decide tonight?
No.
Yeah, we should.
We
Just
don't
move
have to
on. I
decide
don't wanna spend too much
until
time.
December's here.
Keep-
Monday.
Put that in the budget. And
Nothing's
the
decided
public
until-
can
on the full
tell us.
budget.
Right.
Oh, there you
vacate
go.
it or not.
8,400?
Well, if that's what they
What night
could
will
use
that
to,
be?
yeah.
What did you see in Bucksport?
Bucksport, the chair got $60 a meeting, the council's got $50 a meeting.
Okay.
And when reported was.
I'm not on board with that.
I'm not suggesting that. That's how it is.
It's not worth more than us yet.
That's why I agree, that's why I agree with 50.
Okay, so,
In Winterport, it was a yearly stipend, no matter how many times they showed up, it was a yearly stipend.
okay, so we're in line with what folks around us.
And what,
are-
Winterport you said? Yeah, but Bucksport was permanent. Yep. We're roughly in line with others.
Or, and do we also wanna put a caveat in there that you can forego, you can say, I don't wish to collect mine, would that,
Certainly can.
you wish to put yours back to something else?
I mean, I think that's just a personal opinion, but it,
They do it.
we want to see additional rec things, put in rec budget.
Yeah.
Right, you can donate it to whatever you'd like after that. Yes, all right, well, that's good enough.
Donate it to next year's web road cleanup.
There you go, yeah.
Dumpster rental.
Dark. You got a pool line, bring you
All
back,
right,
there you go.
you're good with town council. We're moving on to B, streetlights, page 24. Jacob. It's all yours.
So we've seen a pretty significant reduction in our monthly bills for LED for our streetlights. So this was taking that reduction and reflecting it closer to what our actuals would be.
I would say. Huge thank you to you for saving the residents of Pittsfield a lot of money based on the LED usage. I did have one, and I don't know if it's in here or if it maybe would fit within this budget. But I think we need some lights between the trailer park and A. Robinson. I think I've said it a few times. It's super dangerous. There's people walking back and forth there all the time. I don't know how much of it costs. I don't know if this is the line item to actually put it in or cover it under. But I think we should add a few lights for safety in that area. I've had residents come complaining that they've almost killed people walking back and forth there. Rather be proactive than reactive.
I think that's a good idea. I'm
It's
wondering
just,
the cost of it, if that becomes. a
yeah,
Special project versus a budget item, because it's not something you're gonna do every year. So it would be like
Yeah,
an
maybe it's a-
additional project that would fall into additionals. Versus.
oh, additionals, right? Not capital.
Well, it would.
Because it's too low.
But it wouldn't be in your actual budget unless,
Okay. Yeah,
because it's something new and it's not, you're not gonna add those streetlights every year.
right.
So you wouldn't put it in your operating.
We'll just go in your maintenance, right?
Well, not adding new one.
No, because you're not replacing.
But
them.
it's, I mean, it's not gonna go a capital improvement unless it's over a certain dollar figure, right?
Thank
And
you.
it's a dollar figure.
5 or 8,000.
Jacob, where does it go?
It, honestly, it can go either. Are you talking just adding it to, adding lights to the existing poles?
There are existing poles. I'm not a linesman. I don't know if they can handle a light or not, but ideally, I mean, it looks like it could,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Well, we can try to get an estimate for that, right? Or
You'd have to
PCNB and,
Also, been working on that through that AARP grant for pedestrian safety. So just as a heads up that it looks like we might be getting money for some police crosswalks and some lighting. So it may not be as much as we think.
How much was that grant for, do you remember?
31,000.
I think the
This will come.
cost of the project's gonna determine probably where we put
Where you
it.
put it,
So
okay.
let us work to get quotes.
So this is
Seems
off
like a really
topic.
high traffic area and
Yeah.
having additional cross, like, we don't have any like flashing crossers for people that wanna cross from over to the plaza from there either,
Right.
like, the lights are gonna get them that far.
Yeah.
And then I think they take their lives in their hands crossing that intersection where there's 5 different driveways there, like, to have those
That's part of
flashers.
the plan.
Yeah, that's part of that.
That's part of the traffic control stuff that we're looking at, so.
And do we have, so we can do whatever we want on the industrial park road, but that's a state road.
That's
There.
what the state expects.
And they would have to do a traffic study and those types of things before putting those lights in, or
No, because there's a crosswalk already there.
so it'd just be modifying.
It'd
the
be
crosswalk.
modified, it'd be a bit.
Right. So yeah, 1 or 2 lights, industrial park. I did get a complaint about the top of Beltoma, kids crossing from MCI, maybe one there, but you can see what it costs per light and go from there.
Who owns the Veterans Memorial responsibility here in town, right next to the railroad?
We do.
So the light power's got cut to that, and the flags are up.
But we've pulled the flags.
Yeah, okay.
The sinkhole that occurred on Main Street when DOT was repairing that back, when was that? July, August?
Yeah.
June, yeah.
June, they hit our conduit when they were down. So that's affected the Veterans Memorial and it's affected several streetlights on Main Street as well.
Okay,
So we have since pulled the flags.
okay. Someone made a comment about, I'd forgotten I was gonna talk to you guys about, it, and I forgot.
Yeah.
Mentioned it. Moving on.
That's all I had for lights. Does anybody else have anything on street?
Are we gonna come back to that after we have pricing?
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that one.
Yeah, well, yep. You can, if you have the pricing by next meeting, then you can add it to that, that'd be great. If not, the
Yep.
following one. Maybe the following one, since it may be a capital improvement, depending on cost. All right, moving on to the highway department, page 26.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just be aware too that I don't believe there's any polls in conducting that, it's underground power, so that's why we.
No, It's got poles to the. Up until the,
Up to the trailer park. yeah.
trail park, yeah.
26.
Jacob, you didn't want to rattle down through this?
I'll let Donnie go through it. He knows.
All righty. Lucky you,
That's
Doug.
no problem, I read, I see what it looks like. So basically, you're looking at doing a 6-month budget, so we tried to split that and try to be fiscally responsible with some of the stuff, figuring out that, we do have winter projects that go into the spring months, and then we also have fall, so some of the things that I want to address is obviously we've had a big problem this year with our aging fleet motor vehicle maintenance. I know that's gonna stand out because I think I'm at a 230% spent. When you're running 22-year-old trucks, one of the things that I did ask for in last year's budget was a part-time mechanic to work on our vehicles at a cost of $30,000. I just think that until we can start coming up with an idea to replace our aging fleet, kind of increase that a little bit, because we're coming into our winter months where we're gonna need cutting edges and obviously things that are gonna deal with it. The other thing was too, in my general supplies, you'd say it's a little higher than it looked for a half a year, is remember that our winter salt, up until last year, we were getting winter salt at 55 a ton, it's 85 a ton. So it's a $35 increase, and that's why you're seeing in my supply line. And my supply line is, that's where I do my gravel, my salt, my winter sand. culverts, catch basins, all of the miscellaneous stuff that we buy to do road work with, geotextile, hay, seed, for all the stuff that we do. So, if that looks a little high for half a year, it's because taking a recommendation at $35,000, that is gonna be solved. So that's gonna take us same way when it comes to the fall, when we do it the next budget, if we go on the, instead of the calendar year, on the fiscal year, there'll be things in the fall that were not added into this budget. Some of that stuff was like uniforms for the guys. We typically do that in the fall in November. When stuff gets cold, they can buy their jackets and stuff to stay warm, for doing their job. But I try to be as fiscally conservative as possible.
You want us to ask questions while you're going, or we?
No, I'm just gonna give you an overview, then you can ask on each line item. A little bit different this year. I know that myself and Jacob conferred back and forth a couple of times, because he said, where are you getting your number? That's not half of what you did last year, it's more than half. And I said, budget worksheets, I had a piece of scratch paper, we used worksheets to come up with a number, and I said, that's in my recycling bin, it was a piece of scratch paper, I said, I should have stapled it to it. So yeah, we kind of, to get those numbers, for the public works. Obviously, one of the things that I do want to recommend, obviously this, again, part-time mechanic thing is not gonna work out. Nobody wants to come to work. I don't care what you do. We're headed at $25 an hour. 20 hours a week, $30,000 a year. I think that money's best spent to put it in our motor vehicle maintenance budget. With the hopes to do some capital improvement and some replacement of stuff, which is long overdue. Everything else, we pretty much try to keep as fiscally responsive. So general supplies, the gasoline and diesel for a little bit of an increase. But everything other than the contractual stuff, some of the contractual is right in line where it needs to be, so.
Good. I don't know if you guys want me to start. I have a couple of questions. Doesn't matter, I guess. Donnie, are we full up for laborers now? Or were we short this year on laborers?
They've come and gone, and I just hired two for the public works, one part-time up to 30 hours a week, so we've got 5 there, we've got a spare. Dean is working between the two under my direct supervision, so we can put him on. I'm gonna have him in details just doing the sidewalks. We're talking about adding another couple miles of sidewalks. We got plenty of stuff to do. I think that we've got, I just hired one for recycling too, so I think we're, as staff wise, if people stay, I think that we'll be all right.
This year you had a foreman and 5 laborers? But
We budgeted for a foreman and 5 laborers, yes, and
But you never, or you
we've never, what
Okay.
happens is.
Cause I'm seeing like the year to date of, 146. Budgeted 260 and we're asking for 270.
Oh, that's.
The math isn't mathing up there.
100,000 for my raise.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's not mathing up because we've had 3 and then we've had 4.
But if you're full up, this is what it
That's
works
gonna-
out.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna
Okay.
use, and that's the problem was what happened. One of them is the $30,000 for, we've used $500 out of the part-time mechanic out of a $30,000 of that money. And we've had 4, and then we've had 3, and then we've had 4, and then I thought I had 5, and then we're back to 3. So what's happening is defining the statewide. I just talked to a DOT supervisor the other day, and they're talking about hiring people from as far away as Oregon. Because they don't have the plow truck drivers either. It's a dying breed of people that, and again, a lot of it will have to be addressed at some point in time. We've lost a few because of the almighty dollar. And some people offer some more money and sayonara, they're gone. Some realize after they go that, Pittsfield has got pretty decent roads compared to some that are dirt roads and they're straight downhill for 250 feet and so, yeah, I think that we're gonna do really well. If this contractual thing works out for West Pittsfield, I think that I think you'll see a better service because we're doing the in-town roads.
Right.
I'm gonna start working on my salt priority thing to look a little bit to save us some money there for wear and tear and saving money in the spring from catch basins.
Well, I did have a question on your general supplies. Have you not purchased salt this year at this point?
I won't, well,
Because
because
you're-
just started putting up winter sand, yes. We have not bought, we've only bought one, 2 loads of salt, so we still
So
got,
your budget's like 75, you still got 75 grand in general supplies
yeah.
for this year.
Yeah, 30,000 is gonna come out real handy for sand, and you're gonna have about another 27,000 come out for salt when we start putting up this year's sand and salt.
So you don't need that, from here to the end of the year, and then you're then going to need another 35,000 at the start of the year.
Yes.
You don't need like $70,000 worth of salt between now and
Oh, yes,
January.
yes, because you're
Do
only,
you have no salt at the transfer, at the,
yeah, we have a
Public
salt
Works.
shed, we can only hold 60 tons at a time.
yeah, what do you have now? Not much.
Maybe 10.
Okay.
They've dropped off like 10 loads of winter sand. We only put a quarter bucket of salt per 18 yards of sand. And the reason for it is you go up there and you see we don't have a sand salt shed. And with the rain and everything, you'll see that if we do any more than that, they'll get the white staining next to the Sebastopol River and we get ourselves in trouble. So we keep it dry and order it as we need it and add it to when we're loading the sand in the
Okay,
trucks during the storm.
all right,
I have a quick
that's why it's so, good, thanks.
I just had a quick question on position. So I wondered if you guys keep position lists and percent vacancies for the year. So like it might help when you look at that, like you said, we're up a person, down a person, up. So it's helpful over time if you can like see, we had 2 positions vacant for 25% of the year, which is why the budget's, it just is helpful. So I don't know if you
It
do
is,
that.
yes, and that's sometimes what happens too, and it does, it gives you skewed numbers, because if you're
It's just
short.
hard to write yourself in the number.
They've
You
done
don't
the
know
same
how many
thing.
employees you expect per dollar. You know what I mean? Like,
We've
it's like
gone-
just throwing a
Gone
dart at the wall.
22 months at the recycling center load.
Right,
Recycle one
and then
recycle
obviously
center
we under
versus
budget
the-
for wages for that area, it's just helpful to know, I just was thinking for the future. if
And it does, because every year they say, well, you've got $60,000 budget for payroll, you only use 32 of it, we're gonna take it away. Well, there's a position we need to fill, if we can find that person, then that's.
That's tough, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, that would be something definitely be
just a
helpful.
vacancy rate calculation can help with the budgeting process,
Yeah.
that's all.
There should be a
Yeah.
significant surplus in those positions,
If they're not, yeah.
if they're not being filled
I
somewhere.
have a question. I don't wanna confuse capital expenses, purchases with, maintenance of vehicles and stuff. But what kind of warranties and service agreements can you get on a new truck or, versus a used truck? The newer trucks come with any warranties or service agreements
Yeah,
that you could save on maintenance, like, what does an oil change cost, that you can get covered on a warranty or something like that, that might alleviate at least for a few years, keeping it stable, kind of take our aging fleet and, purchase a truck, out of capital, every year for the next 2 or 3 years or so, basically, and save the 30, well, you got 30,000 for half a year, so you got $60,000, on maintenance that you could put into a truck,
yeah.
And
that's where we've crossed that line 5 years ago. Honestly, 5 or 6 years ago. And, yeah, so the current ones now, you can do lease purchase, or you can just do all purchase, for a little extra money, you can get up to 7-year. I think that's what the state of Maine DOT is doing now. They do a 7-year
7-year, yeah.
warranty. It costs them an extra 10 or 11,000, which is a no brainer. If you lose a motor in a truck, it's $50,000.
Right.
And, they replace theirs every 10 to 12. I'm not saying that we have to do that for what we're doing, but,
Right, but,
The
it'd
average
be
age
nice
of
to have
fleet
something
is
that's not
24
32
years
years
old.
old.
Right.
and
But
the
that'll
other
be
problem
under
is parts.
capital improvements.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not the highway.
But then again, you gotta have the people to drive them too, the personnel.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a question about the salt budget. The salt is higher as the rate per ton is higher. So this doesn't include what you were talking about having more salt period and less sand with salt priority. You haven't started that yet.
Right, well, I
Per
started,
ton.
right, and I'm gonna start doing a cost avoidance, I'm gonna see, because, right now, the state is spreading, right now it's, 104 pounds per mile. Road. Get graduated the way it displays all $104, $104 a mile. That's all that salt that they put on this road out here, and it keeps them roads clear. Like 104 pounds, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, you divide that out into what we're doing in storms. Again, I'm gonna do cost avoidance for what we do for spring maintenance with the catch basins and going out and having them all cleaned out. I mean, that's a big expensive sweeping. Just downtown sweeping, what's it cost us? So I mean, we're decent, we're getting an $8,500 deal, I think, for a contract. It's costing us $15,000 a year to maintain the sweeper we have, to keep it going every other day. And you're paying a guy 4 months worth of salary to actually sweep the roads. If we can eliminate costs down the road, I'm gonna do that cost analysis, I think. Prove that we can use half the money. I mean, something to look at, and I've been collecting data and stuff and seeing, I mean, there's places out in Wisconsin that use sprayers, they don't use that anymore, they're on the Upper Peninsula, they're using beet juice. They're spraying beet juice on the roads, there's less maintenance to infrastructure. There are things out there at work that are cheaper that we need to be looking at. And one of them is, I think the salt priority will do a lot for our in-town streets. But I gotta prove that first. I wanna make sure that I have all my data straight before I come in and present it, because I don't wanna be a fool. I wanna make sure that I'm right. Yeah,
The other question I have is about tree removal. I thought we had like a $9,000 budget for tree removal. So has this been increased, and are you planning on doing most of the tree removal winter into spring? Versus later in the year?
we're gonna do, most of the tree removal, we try to do in spring, and we try to do some in the fall, depending on what we got left. I will tell you, we have 54 dangerous trees.
Is this
There
getting us
was-
closer because we have an increase?
Yeah, there was 243 in the list when I started 3 years ago. We're down to 54 trees. On average, it's $4,500 a tree, so you guys are taking down about three a year. We need, yeah, well, it's just,
$4,500.
Yeah, you're getting ripped off if you're paying that.
this tree that's up by 428
Yeah,
Somerset Avenue, that's up there by the wires and stuff, just before the motel.
yeah.
I got a price of 12,000, the state got 14. They gotta call in CMP, they gotta take down all the lines.
That's
But the problem is most of your trees that are the problems are the ones that are the big old rock maples in this town that people planted 146 years ago.
Right.
And it's our problem today.
Yeah,
That's the problem. And that's not just counting the tree. Now, that cost is, you have to have that stump ground too.
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
So then you've got that cost incurred.
That's right.
We're getting decent rates from everybody, 100% statewide. It's just that we need more money to get caught up, or we're never gonna get caught up.
Yeah.
I have the one that's on Heartland Avenue that people call 13 times a day, the one on Somerset Avenue 55 times a day. It's just not enough money, and we have done very well to get it down to the 54 trees. If I could get 27 of those down this next coming year, I think that we'll be doing well.
The trees that are on state roads they're not our responsibility, are they? Or-
Well, it's a state responsibility to never get done. I just put in the call for one on Somerset Avenue. They've come up and looked at it 15 times and they were gonna do it. I said, listen. There's one out here on 69, across from Trent's, and they dug up that over there to fix the road over there. They broke our conduit. I told them we used A&D Electric. You know how they did to fix the problem? They buried it in and they paved over it. So now I'm dealing with DOT to try to re-excavate it to fix it so we can have streetlights and lights to our monument. And what do you think I'm getting out of that? So I think that I finally got them convinced to do the one on Somerset Avenue. If I can get them to do that one, I can get a lot more trees done this spring. I'd like to get caught up. You got ones on Nickel Street. There's a bunch of them that if we don't do something about them, we're gonna be in trouble. Because the insurance company is gonna come after us for liability. we're the ones that did the plannings, whatever it was, we're responsible for them. And I know, they've done a good job. I mean, you go down, I see the other day that Shingle down on Honeywell. They decided after that one came down across the fence or whatever, if you take a ride down there now, there's 32 pine trees gone. You go around, the first thing you notice, the trees are gone because it costs too much money. Too much damage. But, yeah, my hopes is the next, and I'm sure that, I don't know if this will go to, when this goes to out to the public. I get screamed at every day about trees everywhere. They don't give you enough money, they need to come down, well, what are they gonna wait till it hits somebody's house or kills a kid on the sidewalk, or it comes through, takes out the power for 3 weeks, and that's probably one of the areas that we're lacking in. In the past, I think I got $9,500 for each grinding and tree removal, so it's $19,000. Starting 3 years ago. That was up from $4,000 a year for both. That was $4,000 to take down trees and grind.
Did we get the grant for that tree grant? Did we,
Planting,
is it specifically just for planting?
it is,
Yeah.
and I will
No,
tell
I
you.
know it was.
I will tell you, the new thing is the canopy is not gonna, the tree itself is not gonna be over 20 feet, the specific trees, the
Right,
specific canopy, which was a lot of planning on part of that. Grant, not to plant
Start
something.
budgeting their removal now.
We got these ones out here on Main Street. Like, now they come down by Workplace Health, there's one down by Klein Schmidt, if you see that one hanging over out there, that one's awful, that one's ready to come down.
The state's removal on the one on, my street until it came down across the road in the storm a month and a half ago. Finally took,
Uh,
that was nasty.
And as far as these state roads, if anything is on, like these ones that are on the sidewalk, they're responsible for the sidewalk, that road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they're,
row of trees that's going over Main Street, over by Puritan,
yes,
you know, they're all dead.
and they're all big, they're all them big ones, unfortunately disease has got to them, but yeah, so I'm gonna try, like I said, we increased this a little bit, I've increased it from $4,000 total to $18,000 the last 3 years to try to get caught up. So we're down from 260 or 70 down to 54. I thought we did a pretty good job.
that is good.
I mean, even MCI, look at MCI, they took the ones that are down on front of campus. Unfortunately, something that happened 120 years ago, now we're paying the price for it. Probably wouldn't have cost that much back in the day to cut those down, but
The other question I saw was the heating, and this was a discussion the other night as well, heating versus electricity costs. Do
yeah.
you have any roof on the building? Do you anticipate that reducing your heating costs? Because you've got
That's a
8,000.
trick question.
I know.
I'm hoping, yes, I'm hoping that is the answer, that I budgeted what I have and don't have to use it. But one of the things that I will tell you that is my pet peeve. And I have disagreeing opinions on it, but, when you have buildings those size and you see people, employees, gonna change behaviors, employees come in and open a big garage door, 12-foot garage door to walk inside to get a wrench and come back out in the wintertime and close the big door instead of using the man door.
Yeah.
So that's something that I started last year. I went on a tirade with it. There's no need of it. It's just the same way out here. When it gets cold upstairs, I watch them, they hit the button out here in their pickup truck to open the big door to walk through the fire bag to shut it. Instead of using the side man door. So, yeah, I'm hoping your answer is, I'm hoping that we are gonna save some money. Because we put that extra, 4 inches of insulation, so.
And do we have, did we do anything about the lighting in there either?
We've got,
LED lighting,
we've got some LED lighting in there,
and
there's a
that's
few
part of
that's
a program with,
efficiency main.
efficiency made a few
Yeah,
years
so
ago.
we do have an application in for them, but again, they're backlogged, but as soon as we can get approval, I think there's like 8 lights left that are gonna be LED, but other than that, the rest of them we've swapped over.
Any other comments on highway department? Budget? We are all set on that. And that is good to go. Moving on to buildings and grounds, I'm guessing you might be staying right there, Donnie.
Let me grab, all right, so let's go to that.
Not much change to this overall, it
No.
looked like, stayed pretty consistent.
Yeah, that goes back and forth depending on the projects or the town office and.
Does anyone have any specific questions for Donnie? I don't know if he needs, there's not much explanation needed, I don't think.
There.
I would ask you to add weed killer to your fertilizer and
Yeah, you know what else I
the
want?
main,
I want
No,
an
I-
outlet, I want an outlet by the back door, the girls agreed with me today, so we just put a big fan there to blow the leaves that way.
yeah, they do swirl around there. No, but I mean,
Yeah,
you saw the weeds, and you can't keep up with them.
yeah, we can't.
So I know in years past, that was a budget item and they
Eliminate,
did it pretty well.
yes,
I mean, that's a
and that's the problem.
policy that,
We went and got a.
is it
national one this
is that
year.
a Pittsfield policy or?
It's state, it's an ordinance.
Not to use weed killer?
Oh, you didn't know that?
Why
When
can't we
we,
use, why can't we use on detergent vinegar?
we can.
Well, that's what I was
Water,
gonna say.
or I mean,
There's alternatives.
there's ways to.
No, we got an environmentally safe one this year. But
Yeah.
yeah, we do have an ordinance for because we had a compost issue many years ago with a contractor up on Madawaska. So anything that's got, we put a ban on a lot of that stuff, so it has to be environmentally safe. We did
Well-
get some this year.
Just what the town is using our town property,
That makes
except the
sense.
park. The park is its own world.
Yeah.
We went through this like many years ago with, when Jack was doing the grass and.
And we went through this whole thing with,
Yeah.
remember the snake route, do you remember that? The snake
Well, you
route.
know what I was getting at anyway, so.
Well, because he-
Because she receives stuff where people spray stuff,
Yeah.
and actually organic, because we're
Yeah.
dumping clipping that got.
Which may actually be more highway than
Yeah, so.
buildings and
environmentally
grounds, but.
safe, no, but phosphate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So do we have to add money in anywhere to make the sidewalks and the roads,
Yeah.
that's up for
They're
portions
going to the
cleaner,
porch.
weed free?
You know, I was actually looking around for contractors that would come in, like in the
Yeah.
spring or the fall to see.
See the gas.
If they had alternatives, but none of them got back to me before budget. I wanted to see what it would cost just to put it in a contractual one. It was gonna cost me $3,000 a year. I think it's the best money I've ever spent.
That's right.
Because it was horrible. Thank all the people that were patient, the business owners that went out, took care of it themselves to try to. I mean, we had 3 guys. We can't be.
No.
No.
That's what I'm saying, but, you know, if you had some kind of weed killer.
Paved sidewalks, you wouldn't have those.
In another year and a half.
Tracks and everything.
That's
Weeds
true.
are gonna be done, and there won't be any weeds for like
Yes.
probably 5
Right.
years.
That would be nice.
Doesn't help us on Somerset Ave. Anyway, that's
So
what
we're good though, like, you think we have that somewhat, we can find money to do
Well,
that?
I've got some money in, that's part of my general supplies and my
Okay.
public works, so if we need to do something, I think we can. And again, I would foresee that more of in the full next budget anyway, this is only a 6-month budget, so I would see it probably be in the next budget.
You don't need to worry about weeds until July, so that's after this,
Yeah.
but
Right, and
I'd
that's.
really get out ahead of them. Kill them before they
Next
start.
cycle, we'll definitely talk about it. Hopefully I'll have some pricing that maybe, I know Lynch that does. I know that they've got environmentally safe stuff, they spray and Chimbro uses them, and like I said, I think it's late in the year and they're starting to scramble to get all this stuff done, to be able to get an actual.
Well, it's frustrating for me, cause I can't grow grass in dirt, and you guys can grow up in pavement.
I can't grow it on my backyard, I can't grow it at the cemetery, something wrong, I don't understand it.
Alright, any other comments on buildings and grounds?
I got a comment.
Yeah, sure.
Has any-
Pete Lodgedice, yeah, go ahead.
Has anything been done for a generator for this building? It was like years ago. No, it's been years.
No. There was a grant program through the Homeland Security Act that.
Well, at one time, there was like 25 grand that was set aside for a generator.
Yeah, and they still, they haven't done anything. I know that we looked into them, we talked about it, and somebody was supposed to, between Catherine and Byrne, it's just the EMA director, it's just write a grant, they just give out $22 million for us, and Maine turned back in $4 million to nobody apply. So,
I thought they already had
good
funding
to know.
for that in place and.
Think we have a
got
grant?
quotes, And we were waiting.
at
For
one
it to
time,
be
at one
installed.
time, I don't think some of it was budgeted. I think we have some money somewhere, but I don't think we actually budgeted it. I think we're still, I think that was,
The project was ready to go, we had quotes and we're waiting for.
we did that for the grant. I did that. I ran around, got numbers for the
Jacob.
grant, for that Homeland Security grant, and then it went past with nobody writing the grant.
Is this something that Jacob can look
Yeah, I
into
don't-
for us? Maybe?
Generated for the
You're
town
funding for it,
fire
we're ready
station.
to
I know
install.
that there's a grant and then we applied for, but I don't think there's money there. I know we got quotes for that grant.
We need to check on that.
Was there any,
I'm 90% sure we got the funding and we were ready to like go buy a generator and they just
That
had to
mitigation,
find
that
one.
mitigation grant, I
The
don't,
one that they had wasn't big enough or something and they had to do something different with
Whereas
it.
I was coming on,
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Money isn't.
We have money for that generator, wherever it might be. And it's just a matter
we're
of
spending
getting it.
75,000 for water.
Go back in the minutes, maybe around when you started.
Yeah, but yeah,
Cause I got pricing and Bernie got pricing for the mitigation, the Somerset County mitigation and Homeland Security money. And I don't think they applied for it. I know.
No, this isn't
You guys
recent, this
were-
was like secured it was when he was on the council, so
Actually, I think
it
it
was
was
2
a
years
year
ago.
before I started council, but then it got
Yeah.
carried over.
It got carried over because it was during COVID and the project didn't get done, and then after COVID, it finally
It
got
should be in the capital budget.
going. It should be in the capital
If
budget,
there's anything.
but we
in
had
there.
grant funding secured for it. And I think it was finding the particular thing with the issue. Because supply stuff after COVID became an issue, like actually getting the things.
that would be capital improvement, right? Yeah, if it's anywhere, it would be capital. improvement.
Capital
So is that
grant.
something you can look
I got the
into?
listing though.
Special project or
Yeah.
something. But it was like an additional to the budget at one point, and the council agreed that we need, because the one that we have only runs like. An extension cord, with power, it doesn't like run the opposite.
Jacob will look into that for the council. And we can discuss that capital improvement time, maybe? That work for you? Does that work for you, Pete?
Yeah, I was just curious, because I know it keeps getting passed over.
Yeah, no, that's a,
Since I've been on council.
that's a great
Until
point.
next disaster, we go, right, we do discussions of it.
A great point. Are there any other comments on buildings and ground? Looks like we are all set on that. I'm gonna skip to the transfer station so that Donnie can keep on going and we'll get along. Oh, you're doing that too? Oh, sorry. You do everything apparently. All right, we'll go to,
You're the section out there?
I'm not the section, you know, I have a section, Jim Allen is. Got one more week left, and so we're gonna have to be looking for a section.
alrighty, we will go to the cemetery budget. Jacob, do you wanna go down through this or Donnie let him do that?
That's fine.
All right, we're going to cemetery budget, folks.
So do we have a section yet?
You had, you'll be done next week, Jim Allen temporarily took it over.
Jacob, but we looked at the possibility of hiring that out like a subcontractor. With the mowing.
It's two different jobs, it's not.
I
And
know some towns do both, like they'll hire the sexton, they'll subcontract the position and the mowing.
Well, we have a job, I mean, it's,
We don't need
it's
it.
like we have a job for it already. How would
one
that?
of the issues with that is gonna be your bookkeeping stuff, guys, and I will tell you that our books are a mess. And Jim has been working feverishly on them, I have been to try to get to some resolve, there are like 4 cemetery books. There's.
What do you
a lot
mean,
of
we
things-
don't know where people are buried or like, what's the?
Oh, yeah, or people have sold lots in the past that are in the lower side of the cemetery and there's people missing and people buried where they're not supposed to be. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff.
It's probably a discussion for a different.
Right, but we gotta get them books because there's been different sections over the
Is there a
years. that-
liability there?
I would think there's probably a big one.
And a lot of it is just, you know, like lots and plot numbers and stuff that need to be corrected, and we can do that, correcting some deeds and a few other things, but there's something that we really should be. And after we do that, I would recommend that we need to find a program or somebody to manage that program. That, because there's,
Electronically, to manage.
I'm sure that.
one of the problems is you got a working book, and then you got books at the office, and then this happens sometimes, they're busy, but write down note that this is this lot and this lot, and that gets put in this pocket, and then it's a real lot of responsibility. Jim Allen has really spent a lot of time, and that's a lot of frustration that he spent doing it. I've talked with Nicole, I've talked with Jacob, and we're gonna straighten it out. I think we've figured out what we need to do to straighten a few things out, but I think that down the road, most of these cemeteries, that part of it is managed by a company that does it, like Simtech is one of them that will do it. You give them the information, they map it all out, they plot it, all you do is say, this is the one that sold, this is the name, boom. It's all maintained, it's digitally maintained. And we won't have this problem. And people don't realize there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work, there's deeding that goes on with being a sexton and selling that deed to that particular piece of property.
So going back to where my original comment, I mean, should we be looking at subbing this out to a company that manages this? I mean, it sounds like there's some sort of liability. If my Uncle Jerry's supposed to be buried over here, but he's actually buried 600 feet the other direction, is there any liability with that?
There's not, you just have to do a correction and redeed stuff.
Okay.
That's all you have to do is make sure that, because them deeds are forever, because they're paying for their perpetual care. It's part of when you get buried is that somebody's gonna take care of that plot
Right.
for eternity. But getting good.
If you have family
record-keeping,
lots in one section and you
once
got
we
a
get that,
guy waiting.
it makes the sexton's job, a lot easier. It's just, because Nicole has to be the deeding part of it, there's a few hands that are into this, so it's, you know, it's not as easy as everybody thinks, and just not any person off the road can walk in and say, oh, I can be sexton. Well, I'll give you a 10 by 10 spot over there, and you can put that urn there. You can't do that sort of stuff. And again, this is not any blame on anybody. It's just because it's the nature of the job. When you're busy and you've got a burial and you've got other things going on, there's a lot to the process. It's
Has
not-
there been any like look at the contract services for that down the road? Are you thinking this is 6 or
This
12
is just an
months?
online thing that maps it for us, and then it keeps track of all.
So you don't
of
pay,
them.
you don't pay anything,
You're paying an annual fee. I've looked at some of them, and it's,
but it's not gonna happen between now and June. Okay, so we
It won't, no, because I gotta have time.
so
with
it's not
Jim to
this
sit down
contract
and fix
cycle,
this.
but the future.
And we can't do it till after elections, because a lot of it is changing lot numbers and plot numbers and stuff, so we're gonna have to make out a bunch of deeds. So Nicole has to be available to do that, so we wanna do that after the election, get that cleaned up. But anyway, the sexton, I think, is something that we should keep in-house, even if it's less hours or something, to be able to do it, once we get this management company to do it. I think Waterville pays this company like $6,000 a year, and they just do an immaculate job with the plotting and the mapping and making sure everything is where it needs to be.
But you need somebody in-house to give them that
You
information.
need still somebody to go down and sell the lot, make sure somebody's there for the
Interact
burial.
with families and.
Right. To go down during the burial time to sell those. You know, people will call, say, I wanna bury my grandfather on this day, or somebody's gonna be doing it for the vault company, somebody will know. So there's a lot of work. It's not just something you wanna take off the street to do that type of work.
Is the 32,000 for the mowing contract, is that half the year?
They came in and I think the last year's bid, you guys awarded them $48,000 for the year. I don't know if Jacob wants to elaborate a little bit, but, this is where the rubber hits the road, I guess. And it's totally up to this council, but I came in here last fall and told you that nobody can do the cemeteries better than we can and cheaper than we can. And I'm gonna tell you that again. Because I've got more complaints on that cemetery tying up hours every week, people complaining about the cemetery.
About what
And
it looks like?
yes,
Well, I would say that this year was abnormal as far as how much you had to mow.
there's a lot of things that
I'll give
happen.
them
And,
a little leeway on that, because it
Wow.
was ridiculous.
Who's doing it?
Steve's, and they do the town mowing, which they do.
But it's a 3-year contract, so it's a,
No, it was a 1 year.
oh, is it 1 year?
With an
Oh,
option for 2
sorry,
more.
I thought it was 3 year.
And I'll be honest, and that's another reason why James Allen is not staying. Because I've been down there, I have been verbally attacked by family members. And I can understand their anger. And I can understand on the contractors end too, because I've been on that side of it. The problem is that Peter, and before Peter, you had Blake Bartlett that maintained that cemetery, especially the one on Peltoma, immaculately. And I told you, and I told the contractor, there's no way you can do the work that needs to get done for that price. And
But
now I think he agrees. He definitely agrees. He said, there's a lot to it. I said, there is. I said, I was trying to tell you there's a lot to it. We've had chip stones, broken stones. 1 week you're mowing, and then the next week they're mowing and then trying to string trim around the stones. I've had clump grass all over the stones where you can't read people's names. They've hit footstones and chipped them. They've string trimmed too close and they hit the silk flowers and everything, and then the mower mows over them. We've had burials where we've staked it off, where we've seeded the grass and put hay over it, and they mow over the hay. So and I don't think and I don't blame the contractor too, because he's got guys he's hiring, he's got some young ones, and he's gotta go down, and he's been involved in the whole process. He's been good about it. Rob and Mike have both been part of the thing, and I do know that the discussion that we had last time between Jacob and us was that if they wanted it the way that it was gonna cost a little bit more money. It's gonna cost more money. There's gonna be no doubt.
so are you saying obviously the budget shows mowing contract, so we're not hiring people. We're
Right,
still gonna contract it out.
but it's gonna be,
You're gonna get more money so that hopefully it'll be maintained to a higher level.
and like I said, it's a learning curve. And we've had it good. I'll be honest with you. You've had some spectacular people down there, the older guys, they're there part-time every 4 or 5 days of the spot that was long and got mowed. But I will tell you that I cannot handle the crap anymore, that complaints and screaming. Somebody's gonna take all the complaints. I can't deal with it. And I understand what we've talked about, not allowing flowers on the cemetery, because they can't string trim, but we've allowed that forever. If you tell somebody they can't put flowers on their loved one's grave, I'm not gonna be the one getting the call and saying that.
Yeah, that's
Why can't I
crazy.
put flowers?
Plants there.
I just think that it's up to you. It's up to the council.
So I have a
You guys wanna
question
do that.
because I'm
This is hard.
confused. I just wanna lay out what we're asking for here. We're saying we wanna take back the mowing contract.
That's not up to me.
No,
That's-
I'm asking, what
That's
are
what
you
you're
asking
proposing,
for?
right?
I'm-
You're
I'm
proposing
just-
that we take back the mowing contract.
No, he asked why the increase. It's because obviously
No.
there's gonna be an increase because we've had an influx of problems. We're trying to alleviate those
So
problems.
this is to improve
just
the
asked what
quality of the
what-
outputs from the
Cor-
contract.
Correct.
I was asked-
Or you have to, because they got a 1 year contract, it's either that or you have to decide to take it back.
Mhm.
But if you're willing to do this, then I understand that.
So can I just clarify?
Yeah.
So in order to get the quality that we want, the contractor has said we need to increase what we pay them if we want that level of attention to detail. Is that fair to
That's
say?
kind of what we.
And did we do a remedial plan with the contractor based on what we were paying last year when they messed up all these things? Did we go through the cemetery with them and do an action plan and say, this is what we expect, and then we can't do it? It sounds like we did.
Yes, we.
And they were like, yeah, you're not paying for that. You paid him for the basic trim. You want the
Well-
deluxe trim, you have to pay us more money? Like, is that
Yeah.
what?
That's what it sounds like.
That's what it
we-
sounded like.
But we
I'm
did,
not trying to oversimplify.
but we
here,
did pay them to mow the cemetery, not to break headstones and, like, I don't care how much you pay somebody.
Right, it's just.
That's just kind of ridiculous, like, nobody would expect, oh, you gotta pay me more, so I
So I
don't
don't
break
break
it.
it.
Well,
Like,
I know that Rob did like one or two of them that he had taken care of on his own. He said he would take care of the issue.
Yeah, and this isn't,
But we've had a few other
pointed at-
ones that people are mad and they want.
Right, we get that, but it sounds like
Still mean, he means I'll need more money because it's going to take us more time, it's more than I'm.
right, yeah.
And we do this business with him everywhere else in town, and he does a good job in our town parks, and like, doesn't ruin memorials and things, like, so maybe we can find the middle on this and keep him and.
I just don't wanna make a
Well-
recommendation. I like Rob and I like Mikey. They plow my stone. I mean, they do a good job.
They do.
I think that they threw out a number that wasn't, and we took a 1-year deal from them. And if we're gonna do this, then we need to go back out to bid because we had other bidders that wanted to.
Like this, the 1 year,
We would go,
And I think that would, and like I said, they've been good in the process, don't get me wrong, they've been really
Yeah.
good and they've been attentive and I've called them and they've been receptive to that or whatever. And I know that there's a lot there, and I just, I think there was unrealistic number when, Peter says we got $48,000 payroll, that's what we do it for, yeah, but you got 4 guys there 5 days a week, and they're on top of it. I mean, that's probably one of, if you go down there any day, I go to the transfer station back and forth, there is always at least 4 or 5 cars in that cemetery. It's probably one of the most visited around. There's people there. It's highly visible. And when things happen or someone's not right, they're on it.
When did their contract start? And when did it end? Did it start in the middle of the summer
It
or?
was seasonal contract from. I believe,
Just
May.
for 2024
Made October
then?
15th. I think it's May 1st, October 15th.
Okay, so
right,
do we want to leave this number in here and then?
I think we
go
leave it
after
alone.
bid?
That'll give us, I think it'll give us something to work with. And if it's less, it's less. But I think, and again, I feel for Rob because again, he was taking information based on what we were doing things for. And I don't think that he realized the scope.
So at this point, we don't have a contract with anybody to do the mowing for the cemetery.
Because that's 1 year, yes.
So we need to decide, do we want to extend it for 2 more years now that they have a better understanding and ask them if they have new pricing? Or do we go back out to bid like
Right.
soon? So we can know maybe before the end of the budgeting season, what we're gonna be looking at, whether we go with them again for another couple years. Or, cause now they have a year under their belt and they have a better understanding. I would think that it's not like mowing a park. I mean, I can tell you right now, my yard is like mowing a cemetery, cause there's rocks everywhere, there's trees to go
I mean,
around.
You know,
I don't know what I was thinking.
we put
but-
broad specifications, mow every 7 to 10 days. Well,
Yeah.
places down there that grow faster, people will go by, you see the green plush stuff and then there's the dead stuff. Some of them should be mowed every 5 days. It grows 3 inches and then mowing it every 7. And then when they're mowing it, blowing all that wet grass from the stones and everybody's screaming at me that, you can't read the stones. This is
Right.
ridiculous. I said,
personally,
I
I
can't
think it's
control
a
the
little-
weather and I can't control the grass people. I can't, how it grows. but
right.
I understand the frustration, but
This looks like-
they're holding up to their end. of what
Donnie,
they're
we-
supposed to do.
We're good.
So this is 70,000 up from 52, right? But we are saying this is 35,000 for the next 6 months.
I think it was 48,000 was what was that what was that?
I don't know, I'm just looking at the
48.
total that's from here to the mid
Yeah.
2025 is
30.
35K, so if you doubled that, which I'm not saying we would, I'm just.
Right,
Where does it belong? Do we wait and then put it up to bid and then if you've got to factor it in, just leave it alone as is and hope it covers it?
I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
I think you're probably gonna get it, you may get it, it's gonna be more, but
Especially if you put
I
it
don't
up to
think
bid.
it's gonna be over that number,
Right.
no, I shouldn't be. I just think that, and like I said, I feel bad for him, because you can't control, I told him, I said, I know, you can't control the way the grass grows, and you can't control stuff, and so how
No,
many
but you
days it rains.
can control the equipment that you use.
Yeah.
Right? Take a walker in there.
And I told him, and he's been receptive to it, he said, I know, it's probably somebody who was rushing, wasn't paying attention for a second, and. I mean, we've got a few stones that I think he's already taken care of on his own, and I think we've got a few that we just had one fixed that he's gonna, I don't know if his insurance company or somebody's gonna pay for it, and then there's a few more that we found that. And I mean.
Right,
It-
I mean,
they're-
we subcontracted it because the previous sexton said, you need to subcontract it. because
Yeah, and
we can't
because
do
you
it.
couldn't, because you
And
couldn't.
you're not gonna get anybody to do it, so that's what we went with.
Right, the
So-
average,
It's like
You
75.
know,
yeah, the average age of the person.
yeah, what else were we gonna do? So anyway,
That these are people that were town residents that, most of them were retired and doing this part-time seasonally.
And most of them.
And they had a little more kind of relaxed attitude about doing it rather than somebody that's on the clock, the job. has to
Yeah,
be
and
done.
they gotta make
It's
money.
a different approach,
Yes.
and
That's
they've
exactly
been,
what I'm
and they've
thinking.
all been doing it for years, and so they know all the pitfalls and where the rocks
Where to
are,
go,
those types of things. When you're doing it for the first time, it's hard.
And
But
like I
anyway.
said, you got some of them guys that were, 75 or whatever, looked for that little bit of part-time help to pay their taxes and do
Yeah.
stuff, and I don't care
so,
either way, but I just knew that, there's nobody gonna do better than we can. I say the same thing for my public works guys.
But we don't
We're
have the
gonna do better
manpower
as
to do
soon as we
it,
can. If you
so,
think you can
yeah, I
contract to
think
do
we
it, then
need to
do
put
it.
it out to bid again.
are we good with this number for the next?
I think it's a good number. I don't think it will go over that number. I think it will be less. No matter which way we go.
Alright. Everybody good on cemetery?
Yeah.
I'm done with cemetery, let's speak.
Contract you a moment.
Yeah, don't bring it up and tell them down there.
There's $35,000.
Yeah, really.
Was that the purchase this year?
Yes. I think.
That was nothing.
We're good, okay. We are going to, sorry, go ahead.
Because we purchased that, there's some development of that needed to be done with gravel and establishing laneways and stuff. Has any of that started? Is it reflected in here at all that work's gonna start? Do we need to start that right now or just acquire the land and deal with it later?
Last time I was told when we were 75 years old, then we had to worry about that.
We just are gonna keep
Wow.
going it then.
We'll do something in the 5 or 7 year plan, but if they get a road in, to be able to access.
Our
Let's get our
grandkids.
Straight away first.
First,
Make a
we
note.
start
Make a note.
getting some mapping done of that and
Yes.
map out plots before we sell anything.
That's what I said. If we get this stuff straight first, we'll get the mapping, then we'll put another road. in.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
What happened?
Even he'll be retired by then.
Right.
Alright, moving on to the transfer station. Try to just stick to the budget items. Does anyone have questions for Donnie on the transfer station? I will say it looks really nice a lot of the time, pretty much all the time. Looks good when I go down there.
I agree.
You know, look at
But
it.
anyway,
They got it working at it.
that's not a budgetary item, so let's just stick to it, sorry. I'm a hypocrite.
We're fully staffed there now, Don.
Yes. Perfect. So now we take a vacation. There you go. Here, there.
And we have everything.
And actually,
Compliant.
oh boy, isn't it nice? 2 new compactors, got a few new cans. Everything's running real good, so I'm happy. Yeah, everything looks good. Everything's going good. Compliance is good. All environmental testing is good. So we're in good shape.
Pretty good, sorry. What sorry. What do you have for a truck down there? Is that the roll
The
off?
2017, yeah.
Like that big
the
roll-off?
Waste transport, yeah,
Yeah.
that hauls that trash.
That's a 2017,
Yes.
and you put 20 grand in maintenance in that?
Oh, yeah.
Hot damn.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's not cheap.
Yeah, no, I
If you
don't,
can get them.
I don't doubt it.
I'm gonna ask you that question earlier.
Yeah.
What's our maintenance?
I was just curious what it was.
What do we have for a maintenance schedule on our trucks? Is it an hour meter? maintenance schedule?
Every 10,000 miles or 250 hours,
Okay. Doesn't matter, either one.
whether they're old or new. That's big, and obviously every 50,000 miles, but we do the powertrain thing, so that would be your transmission, your engine coolant, that sort of thing.
Who are we using for that?
Right now, I'm using TW Clark. Dylan over there, I like him over there, they're cheaper than anybody, and when we go over, he takes you under the truck, he shows you everything that needs to get done. He doesn't pick any bones. We had a 2014 dump truck, an international yellow one.
Yep.
That, we couldn't get a steering box for. You imagine you're 10 years old, we can't get a steering box for it. I said, we can't go out and buy a $200,000 truck this year. It's gotta be on the road. He himself and had the other Pat Seno rebuilt that. It's the first time it's ever been done, and that truck has never had a problem.
Wow.
And then come back, said, you know what, one of the other part of your issues are, diagnosed something with another truck, same thing, steering box. Said, there's no way you're gonna get a steering box, you're gonna have to pack it, give us a steering column. So we were ready to junk the truck, we were ready to scrap the truck, and he says, no. He said, I think I know what it is, and he had a guy come from Holton or someplace, come down, look at it, he says, it's an $800 steering column. He said, that truck, so, yeah, he's been good, he's been very, very good. His hourly rate's good, they've been right on top, and does the roll off, he does, all of our public works trucks. I mean, he's local, so, he's done us well. And, right now, I think he's like 185, most places are 275 to 300 an hour, so. And he's right in Newport, so he's handy.
Right.
And he works well with Rob Trask and the towing, so if we got issues, he can go and drop in, we're paying half the cost for the towing that it gets dropped off, and it's because it's so easy and convenient. So,
Right, good.
yeah, so we, no matter if they're old and new, and you'll notice my maintenance, like I said, with that maintenance of that truck, as it gets older, and that's the problem, it's a specialty truck. And I think when we took out the note, I don't know what the debt service we took out, was it 7 or 10 years, whatever we did on the roll off is when we need to replace it. The last roll off was 18 years old, and the one before that was 24 years old before we got rid of it. And we bought 2 trucks before, and maintenance costs before, instead of buying one, so. The goal was to keep it for 10 to 12 years and then send it. That truck right now, is 2010, it's got 187,000 miles on it, so that truck usually is a half
Last
million.
Another 7?
A half mil, well, the first truck we had over for 1.2 million miles. The last one, the Sterling we had 784,000 miles. I think we just gonna have about 485 before.
And that
Right.
reduction in mileage is because you're having the tipping fees paid by, what's his name, over in,
Yeah, we're making,
instead of us.
They're transporting it direct, so, yep.
Yeah,
so we're saving a lot of miles and trips because we used to do 294 trips to Norwood.
yeah.
We're down to about 186 because his packers go direct. So that's saving some time on our truck as well.
Guys, can we stick more to the budget items and be a little more efficient with specific budget items?
Well, we're talking about maintenance and water.
Well, you're talking about trucks that have nothing to do with this budget items in this budget.
Contract rentals, what's the miscellaneous $10,000 item? Last item on 2505, page 30. Outline, page 30. It's 128,000, it's the initial 2025 budget. Last item says, miscellaneous $10,000.
Page 32.
Yep.
Yeah.
The type on the right hand side.
Oh, for your MSW, so you got any solid waste, which is one price, which is stuff that you throw in the compactors. You have shingles.
Yeah.
You have demo debris. And you have, special waste. And then you have your universal waste, $10,000 is for your universal, these special waste, and your light bulbs, your televisions, your electronics.
Is that different than the universal full fee of the top for 20?
Yeah, that's your bulbs. That's all mercury reduction.
So what's the miscellaneous 10,000, the very last one?
Yeah, mowing, porta potty, tires, chipping. Dumpster repair.
After fire inspections.
Miscellaneous is your miscellaneous stuff. I don't see on, that must be. That's gotta be your,
That like metal, like white goods, or?
no, that's, I'm trying to see, you got universal. Universal and bulky. It shouldn't be universal, your universal waste is your universal waste. That's all your mercury reduction, your batteries, your, so that 10,000, that miscellaneous, that should be bulky.
That should be named differently?
Yeah, it should be miscellaneous bulky, that's the extra stuff, the special waste that goes up.
Which is different than universal bulky?
Yeah, because special waste could go to Norwich Walk, universal waste has to go to be totally recycled.
Are you anticipating an increase in something
Tipping
here?
fees,
City-
contractual increase in tipping fees this year, yeah, they're
Yeah.
going from 78 to 82.
Okay,
Your shingles are going from, the shingles are going, asphalt's going from 78 to 85, so there is a contractual increase, 3 or 4%, I can't remember what it was, but it's in the contract.
okay.
Any of that stuff that's in that contractual, that is definitely contracted, so.
All right.
It's still 82, and we're taking our, demo to Heartland, they're keeping their pricing at 82 a ton.
Yeah.
Then the state gets it, obviously, then that's part of the $2 per ton tipping fee goes to the state, they gotta make something off it too.
Going through a lot of brooms and shovels this year. $2,500, man, that's a lot of brooms and shovels.
Have you brought a broom and shovel lately? It's like $50 for a shovel.
Yeah, well, we bought.
Which one was that, Ethan? Is that my general?
Supply.
Driving down the weeds, how many dollars you buy anyway?
Hey, man,
That's your top, the whole walk truck.
that's a budget item.
There's too much, you don't give me too much room to write, that's top of the whole walk truck.
You can come in on your own shelf here, okay?
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for Donnie on the transfer station? Or the,
Oh, we were,
Like I said, this one too, you don't see an increase in personnel.
we were on,
Uniforms and some other things that we do in the fall, so that will be in our next full budget, so.
right? Yes, we are good there. Transfer station's good, going on to page 33, recycling. Guessing you were down a full guy for quite a bit of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
so
we're good there.
He's been on the job for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
none of your salary goes to recycling.
That's right.
Field trip.
We've talked about in the past where we go back and forth, I have 2 on transfer, or regular 2 on recycling, so. And we public works helps us, so.
Propane is, or I guess it's forklift, dealing wire, et cetera. $6,000 for half of next year, but this year you only spent 32,76.
Yeah, I saw the same.
Baling wires, when I buy 25 bundles of baling wires, it's
Buy 'em all.
about $5,000, so I happen to have. The year before I had money left over, so I bought a bunch of wires, the stainless steel wires, I had. Yeah, it's about $6,000, so I try to split that, so if I have money left over to grab it for the next year, so I have some to start with, so I don't have to. Baling wise
You have to
propane.
buy a bunch in the spring, Matt, is that?
That's why you see some of that number. I just bought some in the spring, but I've been waiting because of my propane. We're using the propane, that with the pricing going up and down, just making sure that we have it. If I have some money left, I'll buy some baling wires before.
So you're gonna reach your budget at the end of the year anyway?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy some, I need another 15 bundles of baling wire, but I also like to get my revenue in from my seal, my loads too, the steel, they've gone from $6,000 to $4,000 to $3,000 for 25 bundles, so. It fluctuates with the price of steel, so.
Alright. Any other questions for Donnie on recycling? Hearing none, we are good on recycling. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
No, gotcha.
You're good?
About 50 gallons.
Wait, he has a question about the heating, I bet.
No,
He's adding something.
The heating, propane, you've been at the transfer station, you see it.
Or propane, whatever.
Propane to focus, yeah.
no, I mean, there's obviously significant savings to be had, but
And it's gonna be,
unfortunately,
you
there's only one other company that provides the service you need.
well, with the racks, I mean, you gotta abstain, I know, I gotta get pricing on, because there's a rack and you've got like 10 or 12, 75 gallon, or 75 pound bottles, so.
But you could advise without,
Again,
Yeah, true.
you're obviously paying more than you should. So I'm gonna have
Shop that around, Donnie.
person come and talk to them about.
Yes,
So,
because they provide us, the company now used to be in town and they got bought out and they provided a rack and our forklift tank, so we don't have to, we used to have our own and then we'd have to pay to have them inspected. But there was only one dog in town, so.
that's right.
So now we could get the same service from another company, we definitely need to get pricing, and I will be changing our porta potty company as well, so. They've been bought out and we've got a local guy in town that does the stuff down here for the park, he's a taxpayer. And I just found out he's about $40 a year a month, so I'll be making a switch there too.
Between the two budgets, I know Jay wants me to stay on one, but I'm still gonna jump.
No, that's all right.
Second.
At least it's a budget.
Between the two budget, is your, this is gonna be a little personal, is your salary fixed? Now, are
Yes,
we're fixed, okay,
we fixed what we needed to fix, yes.
perfect, and it's accurately reflected in, on a going forward basis, this is accurately reflected.
And then that's why I said one of the things that I was worried about was the number of hours I put in. That's why we need to hire people too, because I can't do 3 people, so we're fully staffed. 45 hours a week, I hope, that's where it's gonna stay, so yeah.
Retention is the hardest thing in this world,
Yeah.
for dedicated good people, and if we're not taking care of somebody,
Fine.
we need to make it right, however it needs to be done, so. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that at some point that we're gonna, and that with me closing that, we're gonna have to address, whether it's in any of my budgets.
To that point, is it possible to just have Public Works Director as its own thing instead of splitting it? Is there any benefit to that?
I think-
If you asked me what Donnie's salary was, I wouldn't have a clue. I kind of would, but. You know what I mean? Like if it's like you have a town clerk position, you have
Honestly, he
like,
didn't, did it.
you have, you know, you have the town manager position. Is there a benefit to doing the budget that way going forward? Not tonight. We can discuss later. It's not that important, but
But yeah, that most
it
towns.
might be a little clearer,
They
right?
take money out of it, that's what most of them do, they'll do it as an administrative position and just, they take a percentage for each.
Right. But
Because you manage multiple.
budgetary,
departments, so
it
they
seems
just
a
lay it
little
out.
easier to see, but
Yeah.
anyway. Are we good on recycling? Good, everybody's good?
And at some point, yeah, that's what I'd like to see is some sort of incentive program
You ready?
for people. And what it based on, every year, I think this is something that probably hurts me more than anything. I would take a raise that, my 3% raise and give it to, split it up between my 3 guys and each give them 1%. You don't realize the amount of work that you get out of some of these people and what they're getting paid and you wonder why. Another big issue that I think that we really need to look at is back when I started here, we used to get raises based, I guess you'd call them longevity raises, whatever, and they were based on whatever the police department got for a raise. And it was because the town manager was in, if the police department got 50 cents, we got 50 cents. We said it was only fair to that because they were in a union to pay us the 50 cents too. And then I used to do job performance evaluations on my guys. The guy would get a substandard yearly evaluation, performance evaluation, and somebody else would get excellent. And they both would get 25 cents. And then it went from that to what we're gonna do performance evaluations, and the same thing, that this employee got a stellar one, this one needed to do some improvement, and they get the same 3% raise.
Right.
So then you got employees going, I mean, he's doing bare minimum, I'm doing excellent, and I'm getting the same raise, you're not gonna get that out of me, and, or I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Right, that's something we talked about at the last budget.
Yeah.
Thing, and so,
5% based on their performance and,
Yeah.
or I don't.
so we talked about addressing that issue, we also talked about competitive pay. See where we stand throughout the state, so that we are paying, you know, the going rate for all these different positions, but that's. Kind
Yeah,
of the next budget
Right.
season, I
Full budget,
believe,
right.
you know, it won't be for this one.
yeah,
unfortunately,
and that's
but,
just something to think
but I
about for the
think-
next full year
yeah.
budget would be something to
Yep,
incentivize some of this stuff,
yeah,
because,
we discussed that last week and I think.
I mean, we just had
something
one
we'll be
leave
doing.
to go down to Hurricane, to do work, I mean, he's getting paid $100 an hour, we're not ever gonna compete with that, I told him, I said, you're
No.
stupid, you gotta do what you gotta do for your family, and you're getting benefits, you go, you're young, you can do it. But, yeah, I just think that we got a bunch of good employees, and then you've got some that, and I think it's the way of the world that if we want.
Jacob, how does that work? Like, if a guy wanted to go on and call it storm duty, go work, can he take a leave for a while and come back? Like, if there's an opportunity like that, it's like, I want you to take that opportunity, it's good for your family.
Yeah.
When he comes back, does he have a job potentially, or, like, are we
We could
flexible that way, or are we
rehire.
pretty rigid?
Starting January 1st is Maine state law, right?
What?
Up to 12 weeks.
From family medical.
Yeah, but like this is,
That's any.
No.
No.
no,
Yeah.
no, you can't take anything. Which job you protected? It's family
No,
medical.
you can't financially benefit it, you can't say I'm gonna leave this job for 12 weeks.
There was a clause
And then come back.
For leave of absence?
Yeah.
I think it's a protection clause for people who may have gone on FMLA that need an extended leave of absence, but I think it has to originate with FMLA.
Okay, cause I knew there was an additional
But
clause.
LOA, just a straight up LOA is employer specific and the employer can decide, which I would imagine we don't do that traditionally.
Most employers wouldn't be able to afford to allow someone to go like 12 weeks.
Right, because how would you pick and choose?
Yeah.
Who gets
We
to go?
have a leave of absence policy within our personnel policy. That certain circumstances can be approved, but therein lies the key, is approved. I can't have an employee just give up, tell me on a Sunday that he's flying down south on Monday and expect to have a job when he comes back.
Right.
So if it's approved by the department head, by the town manager, it's one thing. But if you abandon ship out of nowhere, your job certainly is not guaranteed.
So how do you feel about it? Do you think if a guy wants to go, or a gal wants to go work on storm duty down in Florida for 2 months? Would that be something we'd ever entertain, or we're not gonna do that?
Wow, we can't.
I would prefer not to.
I can't operate a department if I got half my guys leaving.
No, I understand that, we're also talking about retention, right? So if I'm making $18 an hour. And I wanna go make $100 an hour, so I can afford to have that $18 an hour job the rest of the year, are we gonna allow them to do that?
You better hope your job's not filled by the time you get back.
I think you resign and then
No, that's what I'm wondering.
reapply, when you come back,
Sit
you're
on
in
the card.
good standing and reapply.
Probably as,
The job here goes on while you're away.
Right, it's more of a philosophical thing than a
It's like, like,
necessarily.
you gotta think about
probably a
like a
case by
sabbatical.
case basis.
Thing too is like, is this an employee that you want if they're going to be like, oh, I'm gonna leave for 4 months and then come back? Cause there's storms every year. There's storms all around the country that contractors are needed and skilled workers are needed, you know, and it's like, if that's their fallback, then is that an employee that's valuable to us? If they can't be counted on to be there for the rest of the department, you know, cause somebody's picking up slack while they're gone.
Right,
So, I mean, it kind of goes
I know,
both ways.
I know mechanics that I would hire for 6 weeks a year, 6 hours a year, or 1 hour. I mean, whatever I could get them, right? There's people that are gonna be like that. I guess I would recommend that we don't be real rigid on a policy. I mean, I think it should be pretty open, because there's always people.
Well,
Even if you only get it for 6 weeks, they're worth it.
Like, if you get called up in there, I did this many years ago when I first started, I was part of the American Cross, I got volunteered and they deployed me.
Voluntold.
Volunteered. That's all, but I wasn't getting financial. gain.
Right.
Alright, moving on to the theater, page 40.
Okay, the theater budget. Under contracts and rentals, we've got 2,500 that. Obviously, we haven't used yet this year, which is a good thing, really. We use this for roof repairs as they are needed, electrical or plumbing work as it is needed. Then, of course, we've got our utilities line there. Water and sewer. That's really it.
Are you guys wanna do an assessment of that, or go check out that roof between now and the end of the year? To
Yes.
maybe use some of that,
Yes.
5,600?
Yep.
So we have not had any repairs of any kind from January first to October, whatever, 6. Year to date,
October, yes,
at all, from all those storms last winter, we didn't have any repairs, leaks or anything like that.
that's correct.
That needed to be addressed.
That's
That
correct.
is a small miracle. That's a big miracle.
The biggest miracle was the December storm.
Yes.
The roof looked great, actually. I did a flyover of it.
And
Look
what
at-
about our whole marquee issue going on that looks worse and worse every time I drive by? Like literally pieces are.
It's just working its way to the ground, actually.
It's letting itself.
It's
I don't walk over it.
Getting safer.
I know, it's a little sketchy.
No, I don't look.
It needs to be addressed in here somehow, just because I don't have confidence that it'll go through another winter unscathed.
We have any idea how much it would cost to remove it?
Remove the marquee,
Yeah.
not offhand, I think that's. I think it's listed in the Ames report,
It was like
But that's-
$15,000 to repair it.
To repair it.
Yeah,
Just
how
take it
about to
off.
remove it?
Probably close to that, and then you have to close up what's left. You know, you can't just take it off, you gotta close up the front of the building.
That's a brand new.
So it's open in there? It's open where it connects to the building?
I don't know, but once you take that off, you'd have to repair whatever it was attached to.
Right, but I mean, I just didn't know if it was like open. to
It could be, who
the
knows
building.
what it looks like.
Couple of sheets of plywood would take care of it.
And
I
what
was
is that?
gonna say
Oh,
my red.
You know, is that intact?
And a mural.
There, you know?
Yeah.
A community
Good idea.
mural. It's not right off there, put a bird or something.
Somebody on your committee would do a great job.
It's Field Falcon.
Oh,
Just kidding.
All right,
Yes, Huskies.
any comments on this budget? Are we good with it?
I need to beef up maintenance.
No, we haven't used any this year, so. Oh, maintenance, sorry.
Repairs, whether it's marquee or not. The odds of going through another winter without having to make repairs to that roof are very slim. Cause historically, there's leaks and shoveling of snow and whatnot.
So we'd have the 5,600 for this year plus the 25, you'd have $8,000 to.
A lot of that was because we heated it. And the heating and cooling on the roof and the differential caused problems where we're keeping the heating system down and off now. That heating differential doesn't happen, you'll have less problems with your roof. So I would think we'll continue to see less issues.
We have a heating bill in there.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I
it's
mean,
not,
it's probably on 45 or 50.
Yeah,
So
it's like-
it is on, but it's
It was-
certainly not
right.
even there.
sorry.
What's the status of the heating system? Is it,
Donnie abandoned me.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
You failed.
Nice of here.
We haven't had an issue with it, Doc, but as far as.
you know, when was it put in or?
Wasn't there a leak in it though, last year or the year before? There was a boiler leak or something.
It could have been 2 years ago, yeah.
As
I
long
don't
as
have
we
the
weren't
exact
talking
years.
about the theater.
Hmm.
It is old.
It's old. Everything in that building's old.
If you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it, but what's
I
everybody
mean, I
else
have no
think?
issue, I have no issue bumping it up either.
Always increase it in June too, if you wanted to, right? Like you've got.
How much does it cost to have it shoveled every time we have a snowstorm? Are we doing that or are we contracting with it?
With the roof,
Doesn't
Yeah.
GE roofing
Yes,
do that?
Yeah.
Do we know how much it is every time it snows or ice storm?
I don't.
Cause last year, like, we didn't get a lot of snow, but we
Yeah.
had it just either rained or it was ice. That was the two things that we
Right.
got. Do we wanna come back to that?
I think we should power through it.
Yeah, I mean, what do you wanna
Wanna vote on it, do we wanna?
Well,
what are you
maybe
proposing to?
better, maybe better numbers, like find out like how
I
much.
like
it
Lindsay's
costs
suggestion, we need to address it just in June, I mean, there's really only a 6-month budget.
Well, it's a 6-month budget, but we have the entire winter to go, like, we have the rest of this year, we haven't used any of it yet, but. There's a good chance we'll use some of it before the end of December. But the most of the winter is January on, not November, December.
Make it 7,000?
I mean, we can see 22 and 23.
You see the actual, right, but there's a jump there, that's pretty significant, and then, I don't know if that's, cause like, when did you guys make that heating adjustment? Is that last year?
That's all from rental contract, it must have been a bit of roof.
Oh, is that
That
the
was,
repair?
I assume that was a roof repair.
So that's probably hybridized. I mean, you could do it a little bit, you could put it up to 7,000 and then reassess it in June, and then if you're good, then you can drop the June one down. And then it'll all get out in the wash.
Yeah.
If it makes you more comfortable, I wouldn't see a reason why you can't do that.
I like that.
Yep. We did have a light winter.
Well, according to Craig, it's gonna snow like a son of a gun. Farmer's Almanac, he said.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
So I'm changing that line to 7,000.
There you go.
And then in the meantime, we can figure out how to get the marquee down.
In the
Maybe we
meantime,
can
has
get it
that
down.
committee come back with any?
They had not.
No one's ever come back.
No. No one's coming back.
They have money though. There is money, but they have money. That committee has money in a 501c3 account. Maybe we could petition them to use that money to take the marquee down. That probably would be against their mission, but,
I guess they're not as interested as they seem.
well, it needs, it's in rough shape.
We can ask around, see what it would take to take it down.
Yep.
All right. Any other comments on theater? I'll try to move things along. Does anybody else got any comments? Everybody in the audience, good? All right, I'm gonna look for a motion to adjourn.
motion we adjourn.
Second.